What's going on, everybody, and welcome to this newest Agent Spotlight. We actually have someone that I've actually looked up to for a while. I actually followed him for about 3 years. He's a top producing agent. He's an investor. He's a wealth of knowledge. And what I really love personally about what he represents is he's positive. He's all about motivation. He's all about like high throttle, wake up 4:30 in the morning and go get it. I would like to introduce Adrian Hernandez.
Hey!
We're gonna get those clapping sound effects.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Alex. I'm alive. I'm excited. I'm full of energy, man. I'm excited to be on the call. I'm really, really excited to deliver for everybody that watches your channel. But nonetheless, dude, I really want to thank you for being a light, being a beacon of light to this industry, for always creating just really good content. There's a lot of takers out there and there are very few givers, and you happen to be one of the few givers, man. I just want to thank you for all that you do. I follow you, I watch all the stuff that you do, and I'm pumped for you, dude. I'm pumped for you, the entire team. I know what you guys are doing down there. You're freaking crushing it. And so you're a humble individual, man, and I appreciate you for all that you do.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I've actually never got edified back, so that's awesome. Thank you so much for that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Contribution. That's the secret here, ladies and gentlemen. Contribution.
So obviously, I've been following your story. I know you're with Intero Real Estate, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, so you guys changed over?
Yeah, so I shut down I used to be a owner, manager / agent. I shut that office down last year. I now own, which is now Real Living Lifestyle Properties in Dana Point. So we opened a new brokerage.
Oh, nice. And obviously, you're running it yourself, or?
Yeah, so built it out a little bit different. Went to Business Mastery and hired a business coach. I'm learning a lot about being more of an owner than an operator. So in my previous operation, I was the operator. I had to be there. Now I have a manager that runs my brokerage. I have a team of people that coach those agents. So I'm more now on the ownership, coaching / recruiting aspect. I'm really not involved in the day-to-day management anymore.
Okay, that's awesome. I actually been to Business Mastery as well. It's a life-changing event for sure.
Dude, it changed everything for me. It just helped me really understand. And, for those of you that are listening, if you haven't had a chance to go, Tony Robbins Business Mastery, I highly encourage it. But in essence, the premise of it is how to go from an operator to an owner, right? How to go from the guy on the field throwing the ball to the guy on the top, all the way in the bleachers up there in the box, looking down, going, we need to do this, we need to do that. This player needs to go here, this player needs to go there. And that's a different game. So I highly encourage that. And dude, that's good to know. We have to chat outside of this about your takeaways from Business Mastery.
Well, 100%, man. It was definitely a life-changing experience. That's actually what inspired me to kind of really take my brokerage to the next level. And then from there, obviously, I also realized that I was kind of becoming a slave to it. And I was more passionate about coaching and teaching, and not so much the operation of the brokerage itself. So it was a really good experience, and we definitely need to touch base on that 100%. But I know that you got into real estate really young, right? You got into real estate around your 20s or so?
Yeah, I was 20 years old. Technically 19 when I got in. 20 was when I actually got hired. So 20 years old.
Okay, awesome. What inspired that decision in you when you decided to, and why real estate out of everything? Was it because it made the most millionaires, or was it because something that in your family you just wanted to go and own property?
Yeah. No, so straight up, guys, my whole family's in real estate, first and foremost. Now, before you click off, or anybody viewing this, I didn't get my business from my family, okay? Completely different. My business never came from my family. They taught me some, but I learned it out on my own. I went and built my business completely different than theirs. But my long story short, so everybody's in mortgage or real estate, right? My parents are in real estate. My uncle was in mortgage. My mom was in mortgage. And I saw my uncle crush the game. My uncle in 2005, 6, when everybody was killing it, but he was really killing it. He was, $600,000 months, $500,000 months, $700,000 months. And I got to see all of that. So I saw what this industry can bring, and then I also saw the devastation of 2008, and I also saw what it could bring on the opposite end. Mm-hmm. So I actually I wanted to do real estate since I was a kid. At 16 years old, I wrote down it was kind of cool. Our English teacher made us write a prophecy letter. And at the time, I really didn't know what it was. But I remember making a letter about me being older, me having a real estate office, me living at the beach, me having an office at the beach. I was 16 years old when I did this. I remember writing it out. And then the market crashed. And I realized that's not what I want to do. I don't want to do what everybody else did. So I decided to become, I thought that I wanted to be a firefighter. And I went to EMT school. I started to do some training for wildland and instantly found out that is not what I wanted to do. I instantly shifted at 20 years old, 19, got into the real estate industry, 20 years old, got hired on as my first assistant. And I got into this business just because I believe it was born in me. I believe it was something that, and I don't want to say born, but it was, we're all patterns, right? We're nothing more than just patterns of what we do in our life. And what I think happened is I grabbed onto the pattern of real estate and I really took that. And it was something that was anchored to me because when I got into this business, dude, it was full force, 100 miles an hour. I didn't look back. I didn't stop. And that's when I knew that this game was for me.
100%. So with that being said, you came in with a very strong mindset. In regards to becoming a realtor or actually closing real estate, how was your first year? What was some of the biggest pains you had? Or did you kind of already have a good idea and you were just crushing it left and right?
Yeah. No, so I was thankful enough that I joined an office with a good mentor at the time. And that mentor taught me the first thing, the first day, the moment I walked into the office, he goes, "You want a job?" I go, I need a job. He goes, "Good." He gave me a stack of 1,000 flyers and said, "Go to this area, door knock. This is what you're going to say. You're going to hand them the flyer. Don't come back until they're all done." It's like 1,000 flyers. So thankfully, I had a coach early on teach me that lead generation was the most important fundamental part of this game. And then what I realized is it was a lot harder than I thought. So I went broke right away, like most teenagers, right? Had no money. So I went to him and I said, "Dude, I need a job. Like, what can I do?" So he hired me on as an assistant. I did that for 6 months. In January 2021 is when I decided I'm 2021, January 2021, like last month.
That's right. You're no longer an assistant.
January, I remember like yesterday, it was January 2013. And that's when I decided, you know what? I'm going all in. I told him, I don't want that. I'm going all in. And I remember I door knocked and did open houses. My first sale, I actually have a picture of it. I was doing an open house. There was a miniature horse, the contractor. Okay. This was a flip property. The broker had the property. They were flipping the property. I set an easy up on the outside and I was trying to drive traffic. I was trying to sell the house before it hit the market. Well, the contractor happened to be a really big horse guy. He had a mini horse in the back of his truck. In this horse carriage. And I'm looking at it and I'm looking at the sign and I go, "Do you mind if I borrow your horse?" And he goes, "What do you mean?" And I go, "I'm going to put the horse in front of the yard and I'm going to give kids rides around the for sale sign to attract people in." And he goes, "Yeah, dude, go ahead." He goes, "Just, be careful with the horse." So we tied the horse up. I have a picture I have to show you. We tied the horse up to the for sale sign. Wow. All of a sudden, we start driving traffic. People are stopping. I have a sign that says "free horse, free pony ride," right? Kids are stopping by. One of the kids that happened to be on the horse, the wife gets off, walks inside the property, walks out and says, "We'll be back tomorrow. Will you be here?" I go, "Absolutely." So the next day I show up, super windy, didn't want to do it. I showed up anyways and hoped that they're going to be there. They didn't show up till I was just packing up. They walk through the property, walk out, say, "Perfect, we want to buy it cash." And that was my first transaction, was doing an open house using a pony, giving rides. And that's what I got my first deal. So January 2013, I got into the business. By February, a month later, I got my first deal by doing open houses.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So I know you come from a very fundamental, because obviously you have a bunch of family in real estate. So I feel like you had this good sense of fundamentals. What do you think was your strength when kind of starting off? Like, compared to what your weakness was, what do you think your biggest strength was? I know for me, just knowing you from what I know, I definitely think your mentality is something that's super, super strong. You're always in a positive state. You're always, pushing forward. But besides state-wise, what would you say your biggest strength was?
Yeah, I would say, back then, dude, it was just my willingness to get out of my current situation. It was the fact that I hated my situation so much. I hated that I had no money. I hated that I didn't have anything at all, that it was my drive to change that. So I want to say it came down to the grit. The biggest thing I had early on was the grit to move forward, even though I didn't want to push past and do all the shit that I didn't want to do. And I think that came from working out. I started working out at a younger age. I was fat as a kid. And I realized that the only way for me to get to where I needed to go is I had to do a lot of things that I didn't like to do. So if I bring up that open house, I remember that morning, I didn't want to do that open house. If anybody knows Fontana, California, it's windy. It's like a windy city during Santa Ana wind area. It was super windy and cold outside. I did not want to go do that open house. But I always remembered that the greatest things in my life came from when I didn't want to do something. The best things in my life came from when I acted on something that I didn't want to do. So I would say my biggest strength was me going into a situation and doing it, even though every emotion and feeling and thought in my body was telling me not to do it.
Gotcha.
And if I think about it today, Alex, my biggest flip, I got into the flip game because I didn't want to do it. I remember being so scared that I was like, you know what? That's why I have to do it.
You're attacking what you're scared of.
100%. Because it's the ego. The ego is trying to hold us back. Remember, the ego is meant to protect us. And the problem is we see an opportunity. We see something that we want to do, but we hold ourselves back. We don't do it because of beliefs, thoughts, situations, whatever, emotions, feelings, how we feel that day. The problem is some of those decisions are life-changing, altering decisions if we just acted on them. The problem is we get so caught up. We get so caught up in the emotion. Remove the emotion. Tom Brady doesn't think when he throws the ball. He just throws the ball.
There you go. I love that. That's such a freaking amazing quote. And I feel pumped up right now just even talking to you. So one thing that I saw one of your videos recently. So I know that you're making this transition into going into the flip game, because before you were solely just doing real estate. So you hopped into the flip game. I know you're starting a course. I know you're coaching people in that. You want to talk a little bit on how you're getting into the investment realm? Because I think 90% of realtors, they start off becoming realtors because they want to become investors. I know I did it myself personally. So you want to tell us a little bit about this transition that you're making, and what are you planning to get out of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So my course is the Ascend course, and it's in essence what I'm teaching is how agents can go from traditional real estate agents to real estate owners, business owners, entrepreneurs, if you would call it. I really don't like using the word entrepreneurs too much because it's like really like watered down right now, right? But it's beat up like it. But that's really what you're doing, right? You're going from being a solopreneur to a multipreneur. We're learning how to go from one business to multiple businesses. And that's what I'm teaching, because I realized that if I stake with buyers and sellers, I'll do 100 deals. I may do 200 deals, but I'm going to work my ass off. And at the end of the day, I don't know if I want to do that. But what I do want to do is I want to own a lot of real estate. I do know that my long-term goal is to eventually retire, and I don't want to say retire, but go on to the next phase of my life with enough passive income in real estate to support that. So what I'm starting to do and what I've learned is I taught myself the 9 different degrees of wealth. And what it is it's taking one lead and being able to turn it into 9 different transactions. So if I meet with one person, it's no longer, hey, Alex, I can list your property. It's no longer that. It's, hey, I can list your property. But if it doesn't work, I can wholesale it. I can buy it from you and flip it. We can talk about subject to financing. We can talk about seller carryback. We can talk about me burying this property. We can talk about me referring this property. We can talk about buying it, or most importantly, we can really talk about can you carry back this loan for me? And I'm not talking about sub 2. I'm not talking about seller finance. I'm talking about sub 2 in a way where I can buy the property with no money out of my pocket. You see, so I'm now teaching and thinking, how do I provide different options and opportunities for homeowners? Because what do we really get paid to do? We get paid to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, what do we get paid to do? We get paid to solve problems, right?
Yep.
So my theory is if I can just solve all problems, then I can go to a presentation and have OfferUp, Zillow, Redfin, all of the choices for a consumer right in front of them.
Okay, that's awesome. So, I mean, that's definitely an amazing mindset. I mean, for us in our business, we kind of had that same similar thing, right? We want to be able to provide value to agents. So we started the e-commerce. We had that contracting company to do so. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like in order to succeed now, you can't just be a normal real estate agent. You have to have other elements covered in order to add immense value to your clientele.
100%. I ran an office. I ran a brokerage. I recruited an obscene amount of agents. I at 1 year recruited 47 agents. We were 56 agents in less than 2 years at the office that I created in Mission Viejo, California.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad to say, but a very thin portion of them actually ever succeeded, especially new agents.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because if you're in a competitive market like Orange County, or even more competitive like your market, Alex, right? When you're in one of the most competitive markets in the world, in the nation,
mm-hmm.
How do you separate yourself from the competition? And most new agents, they're doing the same thing everyone else is doing. Well, you can't do open houses now, but they're doing open houses. They're doing sign calls. They're doing cold calls. They're doing door knocking. Well, that only goes so far if you only have one thing to serve them with.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went through that and I saw how many agents failed in this business, when I saw how hard it was, I realized that unless we provide more options and opportunities for individuals, then our opportunities and the way that we can go, how big our business can get, is going to be very limited, because we only have a single option value proposition.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So question. So do you still have agents on your team, or is it more like investing now?
So now I have 3 different pillars. So before I made it simple. I have buyers and sellers, where I have buyers and sellers. I have an agent on my team. He only works with buyers and sellers. And then there's 2 different divisions. I have the old market that I used to live in, and then my new market. And then the second is wholesale. So I own a wholesale company, and we wholesale property in Southern California. I get first right of refusal. So I'll look at it. I'm either going to buy it and keep it, or buy it and flip it. And then the third pillar is flipping. And that's where I take properties from the wholesale company and flip them. Or when I'm on listing presentations, if it doesn't fit a listing, then I'll wholesale it. And if I can't wholesale it, then I'll flip it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that sounds amazing. I mean, it's definitely, kind of like you're one person, but you're kind of doing so much because you're already in that field. So you're kind of double dipping in everything anyway. I also love the fact that you're so fundamentally sound, in the sense where I see you hitting that mojo dialer all the time, right?
Every day.
I love some of the lessons that you actually promote on there, where you're like showing how to geograph an area and actually start calling through specific areas. You want to tell us, do you still do that for your normal sales and buying, or you just mainly do it for investing now?
No, so I do it for everything. And this is why. I can't teach my team member. I can't tell one of my team members, hey, dude, you need to get on the phone and make 30 contacts a day, if I don't get on the phone and make 30 contacts a day. Mm-hmm. So I practice what I preach. So just as my team is here, they just went out to lunch. That's why I was outside. I thought it was going to be loud in here. But in here, they're prospecting as I'm prospecting too. When they're doing data research, I'm doing data research with them. And what I realized, and it's funny, they talked about this on Ryan Serhant and Ed Milet's podcast recently. Mm-hmm. Successful people continue to do the things that made them successful. And mm-hmm. unsuccessful people get to the point where they think they're successful, and then they stop doing the things that got them there. Mm-hmm. So what I realized is that if I can double down on the things that got me here, I'm only going to get further. Mm-hmm. So every single day I pick up the phone. Every single day I send a text messages out. I don't care what is going on. Every single day I'm finding someone new to connect with, because that's what's going to drive my business forward.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And in regards to systems, obviously I'm a big systems guy. I love CRMs. I think I've literally had every single CRM that has been out there. What is Adrian Hernandez's CRM? What are you currently using?
You and me both, bro.
Yeah, right now I'm on KV Core. I'm addicted to it. But what are you currently using?
Yeah, so good question, man. Good question. I have to say, because I went through 1,000 different CRMs like you did, right? It's funny when you said that, I just wanted to laugh, because so did I. I've spent so much money on all the systems that now I don't I don't. It's very simple. I've learned to simplify it. I use Mojo for my lead tracking, and then I use send out cards for my database management. And what send out cards is I'm able to send birthday cards, anniversary cards, home anniversary cards right there from the site. I'm able to send them gifts. And that's what keeps me updated on birthdays, anniversaries, stuff like that. And then my Mojo is all of my lead management. So I don't have any fancy drip campaigns. I don't have any, 1, 2, 3, 4 step CRM process. We have systems in our organization. We have flow charts that agents follow and that the callers follow, but we don't. I got away from the big CRMs because I'm not an analytical person by nature. And what I noticed is it was taking more time away from me than it was me actually moving forward. So because I realized that, I'm a big person on whatever's not working, stop it right away and find something new. I just shredded it and I went simple. But I do want to pick your brain because I know there's a lot for me to learn on the CRM side from you.
Oh yeah, definitely. We could definitely talk about that. I mean, in regards to I'm a big automation guy. So I'm like, I love the 4-hour work week. That book changed my life in regards to how I did things. Because before I was doing a lot of just cold calling, and then I got into automated text way earlier than most people did. So I got to reap the benefits of that early on. But I mean, for me, it doesn't have to be so complicated. A lot of people make these complicated automations. For me, it's just like, hey, how are you doing? So when they respond, I have a genuine conversation, right? It's something very similar because for me, it's all about building that relationship over time. So when you need a contractor, when you need a security system, whatever you need, I want to be that first person you think about so we can actually have that conversation. And I've actually had potential like investment deals come my way just because I stayed in contact as a realtor. You get what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it definitely is a game changer. I'm big on that. Like KV Core has been amazing. I used to use Lines Desk a lot. I love Lines Desk. It gets really expensive because you have to buy text messages, you have to buy these things. And I was using it for a team, so it got even more expensive. But KV Core has been a godsend. I love what we have going on right now.
I gotta check that out. Yeah, and so it looks like Amanda from your team said the best CRM you use is the best CRM is the one you use, and it's so spot on, right? Like for the longest time, I just went off of the contacts on my phone.
There you go.
Right now, if I was to go on my phone and type in past clients, every single one of my past clients pops up just by keeping it simple, your regular contacts list. So you're it's absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. What I would say to everybody who's always thinking about a fancy CRM, you guys keep it simple, focus more on your generation, focus more on getting deals, focus more on getting contracts signed than what systems you're learning based on what I've learned.
For sure.
Systems will come.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, sometimes you guys, Amanda, I literally have a big whiteboard. That's probably a better CRM. I use that CRM more than I would sometimes my KV Core at times.
Yeah.
Just because like I like the visual, right? Out of curiosity, I know you're a Tony Robbins guy, right? So you definitely took the DISC profile. I want to know, what is your DISC profile?
So I took the amiable driver analytical one. I'm more of a blue, so I'm amiable. I'm amiable by nature, and I'm a driver under pressure. So they say you have a primary and then you have a secondary. My primary is I genuinely care about what people think as an amiable, right? I'm always, that's just who I am. I'm real, wear my emotions on my sleeve type of thing. That's that's the personality of an amiable. But I know under pressure, it's get the hell out of my way. I'm making something happen. And that's where the driver personality kicks in.
So like in theory, you would be like an ID, right? An ID?
Yeah, more of an ID.
Gotcha. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So we're very similar in that aspect as well. So obviously talking about Tony Robbins, you said business mastery. I know you did a Date with Destiny too, right? As well. So how important is coaching in your career, right? So I know you said you still have a coach. Do you recommend every agent, every investor get a coach and get a mentor?
I believe so. I'm taking what I've based on experience, right? And I know this, guys. I know success leaves clues. So just follow the clues. And the clues say is that we need a coach to help us get to where we want to go. So from day one, I invested in my business. And this is the way we have to see it. It's not an expense. It's an investment. And the investment is not on a stock. It's not on a crypto. The investment's in you. The investment's in your future. The ROI is in you. So when we can take money and instead of buying a stock, if we can take that money and buy our own stock, us, and invest in us, you're going to get a bigger return than any coin or any stock that's out there. So I bring this up because day one into the business, I hired a coach. I had no money and I hired a coach. In the first month of me being an agent, I went to UPW, Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within. I borrowed money from my mom and people in the office to go there. The first coach I hired was 6 months into the game at $1,000 a month. I never had a bill higher than $200 a month. And I went and borrowed money from my parents. My mom only gave me 1 month and then she made me pay it back. And I had to go to 3 other people and borrow money. But long story short, I borrowed money to hire a coach. Until this day, I spend upwards of $50,000 every single year on coaching. I pay for Tony Robbins, which is $38,000 a year. And then I pay $1,000 a month till this day for a coach to help me get out of my own way, to share with me the things that I'm not seeing, right? And one thing I've noticed, sometimes we don't know what we don't know because we don't know it. Very simple. We don't know what and it's our job to find the people that know it to teach us that so we can get to where we're going faster. The problem, Alex, is, and then you tell me, because I'm sure you see this, the problem is that everybody looks at it as an expense.
Yeah.
Everybody looks at it, well, I'm going to lose this money. I can go buy a Gucci belt, right? It's going to be there in a week. Yeah, but what's the ROI when you go invest in yourself? What happens when you go and hire somebody who's teaching you something that you don't know?
Yeah. I mean, it's unlimited. I mean, you can do so much more with having that. Like you said, I want to bring this full circle because you said, why do you a lot of agents fail in the business, right? And I think it's not because they lack skill or lack intelligence. I think they run out of money and then they lose momentum, right? That's kind of what happens. So a coach kind of mitigates that. Like, you don't know what you don't know, but if you have that mentor, you have someone guiding you, you're not going to run out of money because you'll be able to see some type of action happening. So the momentum will continue growing. It's up to you to kind of keep that momentum.
100%. And for everybody listening, you guys, let's just do a simple experiment right now. And this is super cool. So do me a favor, just pull out your index finger. Just look at your index finger. And Alex, kind of do this with me because this is always kind of cool. Okay. Look at your index finger and tell me if there's something new that you've noticed about your index finger that you've never noticed before.
Yes.
Like I can see it.
I'm looking at it right now. That's crazy. There's some lines there that I didn't realize.
Here's the thing. We've been walking around with this since we were born. Our index finger has never gone anywhere. But see, the problem is that it sometimes takes somebody to look at your index finger to help you see something you've never seen before. Sometimes it takes a coach to say, hey, pull out your index finger. Tell me something about your index finger that you've never noticed before. Oh shit, I just realized there's a burn stain right here. I don't know how long that's been there. Mm-hmm. You see that same thing that burn stain, that's the same thing your coach is going to help you identify. You've been staring at your business this whole time, but sometimes we're not seeing that one fundamental thing that can drastically change everything for us. So no more like the index finger. We've been walking around with this bad boy since we were born. Problem is that we're now noticing something that we've never noticed before. So if that's the case with our index finger, then what's the case with our business?
For sure. And another great example too for that is like when I asked Amanda to go into the refrigerator to grab me something, she doesn't see it because she's blind to it because it's not there, right? In her mind, she's like, it's not there, so it's not there, right? But once you kind of find what you need to focus for, sometimes you'll find it. And I feel
how many times? I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, continue. That was really good.
Yeah, because I'm saying sometimes you need somebody to be like, it's there 100%. And then for some reason, your brain allows you to see it, right? It's kind of like this blind spot that's in your brain, which is crazy.
So, and it's funny, like how many of you have ever went to buy a new car or you're thinking about buying a new car and you've never seen that car before anywhere. You've maybe seen it once or twice. And now all of a sudden, because you're about to buy that new car, it's everywhere. Yeah. You see it everywhere.
It happened to my Mustang. Like I bought a Mustang and then literally I saw Mustangs everywhere. And I was just like, wow, there's a lot more than I thought.
They were there the whole time. But now that we're aware of it, we can see it. Okay, so then let's tie this into business. So then a lot of times people show up to a subject to finance property, but yet they don't know that it's a subject to financing because they don't know what to look for. They don't know what a subject to is. Or they walk into a flip and they don't know that it's a flip because they're not asking the right questions, or they're not being aware of the right circumstances in the house that cause a flip. You guys, for those of you listening, this is so important, because if we don't know what to look for, we'll never find it. And it's important that we are aware. We have people like Alex that are able to show us what to look for. So when we show up to an appointment, we go, oh shit, that's what Alex said. Damn, now I didn't just get a listing. Now I got a property that I own, and there's no money out of my pocket because something Alex helped me become aware of. And you guys, you can't put a price tag to that. For sure. That's coaching. That's what I've learned. Like, look, business mastery costs what? $5,000, $10,000, depending on what group you're a part of?
Yeah, for me, I think I paid $10,000.
So $10,000, I pay $10,000 also. I say 5 because if you're part of a program, you get 5. Anyways, long story short, $10,000 for business mastery. That seminar has probably made me $2 million in the last 2 years. Easy, without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah. Why? Because they helped me become aware of the things that I was not aware of in the past. They said, Adrian, why own 100% of one business when you can own 60 or 70% of 2 or 3? Or shoot, why don't you own, instead of 100% of one business, why don't you own 10 businesses that maybe some of them you're even 30% partners of? But now I own 12 businesses compared to 1. Now I earn $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 million compared to $250K.
And that's another thing too. Focusing on just the 250K becomes a barrier, right? It becomes a barrier because you're only focused on 250K. You're not seeing the other opportunity over here. You're kind of just focused on a number, which doesn't really help. And I know what you're talking about in regards to becoming a owner rather than being the soldier of your business, you can say. It really did make, like when I tell you business mastery opened my mind to that, it was crazy. Like I got to meet the owner of Lyft and shit like that. It was crazy. It was a mind-blowing experience. I highly recommend that everybody go check out a Tony Robbins seminar if you haven't already. Every successful person that I have spoken to that operates at a high level has been to a Tony Robbins seminar. I can say Absolutely. That like full-heartedly and be like 100%. They've been there at one point, whether it be UPW or whether it be business mastery.
Yep. All day. And I do it multiple times a year. I'm about to do UPW again for the 6th time. I'm about to do business mastery again for the 3rd time. Right. But I'm always
the Diamond Group.
Yeah. Well, I'm part of Mastery. So I buy University Mastery every year.
Okay.
And so I'm doing Mastery again. I'm going to wait to do Platinum till they go back live. I was supposed to do Plat this year, but they're still not open. So I'm going to wait to do Plat.
All right, cool. So I always love to ask this question to everybody. I know that you're an early riser. You wake up at 4:30. What does a day in your life kind of look like? What does your schedule kind of include, and what are some non-negotiables?
Absolutely. I love that question. So non-negotiable for me. So I wake up every day at 4:30 in the morning, 4:45, 4:30, somewhere around there, right? I'm not too hard on myself. If it's 4:45, 4:50, I get up. It's before 5 o'clock. And the reason why, a lot of people say, you got to wake up exactly 4:30. Now I looked at Mark Wahlberg's schedule. Some days he's up at 2:30, some days he's up at 3:30. So I give myself some cushion. Okay. It's still pretty early. So I'm up by 4:45 nonetheless. 4:45, I'm up. First thing I do, once I get dressed, go downstairs, as I'm drinking my coffee, and I actually brought this here because I knew this question would come up. This is the first thing I do before I walk out of the house to go to the gym. So I write down 10 things that I'm grateful for. I write down the 3 things that made me happy in the last 24 hours. And then I write down an I am earning statement. And I'm writing down I am earning 3 times the amount of money that I've ever earned. So I'll put, I'm earning $3 million. I'm earning $3 million or more in the next 12 months. I earn $3 million or more in the next 12 months. And what I'm doing is I'm programming my mind to feel comfortable knowing that $3 million is easy to do, right? Mm-hmm. It's programming the RAS, the reticulatory activity sensory portion of the brain. And what that does is that helps me focus on $3 million, right? So this is the first thing I do. And then on the back, what I do is I write down all my goals. So I'll write down, thank you in advance for, whatever you believe in, not preaching the belief here, just this is what I believe in. So every morning I write down, thank you, God, in advance for helping me with, And I also put my dad. So my real biological father passed away when I was like 2 years old. Never got a chance to meet him, but I know he's up there looking out for me. So I'll write down, thank you in advance, God. Thank you in advance, Dad. And then I go through my goals. So I'll write down my 2020 goals, there's only 8 of them. And then I write down my month goals. Mm-hmm. So every single month I chuck down my goals into bit-sized bites. And every single month I write down what is the minimum that I have to do. Right after I do that, I head out, I go to the gym. I'm at the gym till 6. I'm home by 6:30, 6:15, somewhere around there. And then I get dressed, hang out with my wife, hang out with our dogs till about 7:15-ish. And then I come to the office. And I'm in the office by 8 o'clock, no later than 8, because I typically have coaching calls from 8 to 9. And then 9 o'clock every single day. This is open for everybody. You guys can join us. It's a free mastermind. Pacific Standard Time. We start at 9 a.m. And what we do is we do a mastermind call. So from 9 to 9:30, it's talking about wins. We're sharing what's working for us. We're sharing what we're learning. We're sharing different thoughts, ahas. At 9:30, we all get into affirmations. So I'm a big believer in affirmations. I'm a big believer in, and I didn't talk about that, but part of what I do on the way to the gym is affirmations. So I'll say to myself, I now demand my subconscious mind to direct me in helping as many people as possible today, to better their lives by giving me the strength, the persuasion, the bravery, the humor, whatever it takes to show these people and to get these people to change their lives now. God's wealth circulates in my life. God's wealth flows to me in avalanches of abundance. All my needs, desires, and goals are met instantaneously by infinite intelligence. And I give thanks for all of my good now and for all of God's riches, for I am one with God and God is everything. So I say that to myself multiple times on the way to the gym. At 9:30, once we're done with our call, we go through a similar affirmation. And it's the Tony Robbins, now I am the voice affirmation, right? I'm sure you've heard of that multiple times. Yeah. We do that, and then we all get on the phones. So our whole team gets on the phones. There's about 32 people that join us in the morning nationwide. They all get on the phones. We are trying to grow that group to 100. They all get on the phones, and we all stay on the phones till 12. Some of us get off, go on appointments, but for the most part, there's always a good 20 people on the screen watching each other prospect. 12 o'clock, we have a wrap-up call. I do the 12 o'clock wrap-up call. I do some callbacks, and then the rest of my day is spent in systems, it's spent in data, and it's spent in speaking with clients, meeting with clients, and training the team.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, one thing I just want to chime in regards to is I know your energy is very high, so you must be doing these affirmations strong, because by mistake, I texted this man at like 6 o'clock. Was it 7 o'clock our time, or it's 8 o'clock our time, which is 3 hours behind, and you were at like full throttle. You're like, let's go. And you're like, I see the energy in your text messages. So that's something that really does, you need to have in order to wake up at 4:30. I know Amanda, she has to pump herself up. You have to kind of keep in that state. And another thing that you mentioned that was really cool with your journal is deconstructing your goals. Right. So you say you go from your 8 goals and then you deconstruct it. I do the same thing, but I also bring it back to the daily. So I'm like, all right, what is my daily goal? Like what am I trying to achieve? Whether it be 10 conversations or 20 conversations, whatever it may be. I break it down to the very minimal. Right. And then I have the week one, and then I have the month one. And so I do the same thing. It's pretty awesome.
So good. It's important we do that, because a lot of us underestimate what we can do in a year. A lot of us overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we can do in 5 years. And that's a lot with our goals. A lot of us overestimate what we can do in a year. We underestimate what we can do in a day. So you breaking down your goals like that, dude, that's fun. I firmly believe that if everybody just took that concept from the call and applied it into your life, everything would change. Because now we know some tiny little basic fundamental things that we need to do every day that compounded over time gets us to where we want to go. Yeah. That's so big, dude. So big.
Yeah. And another big thing that I just kind of want to shed light on, because I feel like it's a very powerful statement, was when you reach that goal, right? Don't like I kind of fell into this trap too. It's like you start doing something else and you forget what actually got you there. That statement I feel is very, very powerful. I've struggled with that myself personally. Because your whole mentality shifts, but like you're saying, going from owner to being an agent to being an owner, but you can't forget what actually got you there. And sometimes you still have to be in the mud. You still have to go through the trenches in order to continue that success onward, right? So 100%. For an agent that's watching that That's gold. Deconstruct your goals. Make sure you're doing your daily affirmations. That's why when we actually created the planner, our Agent Planner Pro, we actually included affirmations because that's something that I feel very, very important to kind of set your day off on the right foot. Right.
So good. So good.
Sure. So what are some, this is probably one of my favorite questions too. What is what is something that you're currently reading right now that you're educating yourself with, whether it be an audio book or something that you're picking up?
So kind of cool. And I'll share this with you guys. And I do want to go back to the point real fast. So remind me to talk about affirmations and incantations real quick. Okay. But before I go there, I'm listening to Joe Dispenza, Evolve Your Brain.
Okay.
So this has been really, really good. He helps me, this has been good because it helps us understand that like most of the diseases in our body really come from the mind and our thoughts. He talks about this morning how this lady who was super stressed out, overthought, analyzed everything, how the problem she had in her life because of what went on in our brain. So you guys, we have to understand the most powerful thing we have in this world is our brain. And the 6 inches between our ears is what we need to learn to control. If we can control the thoughts that are up here, then the rest of our life will solve itself. The problem is that we're too busy reaffirming negative affirmations versus reaffirming positive things that we want to happen in our life. People are too busy, especially in today's era, too busy looking at, is this cup half empty and why is it half empty? Versus the fact that it's half full, or I can throw this shit out and pour whatever I want into it. and that's the problem. The problem is that too many people are looking at the negative of the cup. So what I realized is there's a difference between affirmations and incantations. There's a difference from me sitting here saying, I'm tall, I'm tall, I'm tall. When I only know, you guys look at me and scream, but I'm only 5'5". I'm not standing very tall in this office right now. So I know that if I sat there and went, I'm tall, I'm tall, I'm tall, I'm tall, I'm tall, all I'm going to do is just keep lying to myself. I'm tall, I'm tall. All I'm going to do is just piss myself off. So what I've learned is that I had to create affirmations that I know can be a reality, that I know are tangible. But most importantly, I had to understand what was the difference between an affirmation and an incantation. An affirmation is just me going, I'm confident, I'm confident, I'm confident, I'm confident, I'm confident, with my mind going, no, you're not. And an incantation is me using my body, me telling and affirming to myself that I am confident. So here's the difference. An affirmation is this: I am confident. This is an incantation. I am confident. Yes. You see, I'm using my body. I'm using my emotion. Now I'm connected. Now I feel confident. But before, I'm confident. That doesn't make me feel too good. But I am confident. Yes. You see, now I got it. Mm-hmm. And so if we can learn the difference between an incantation and an affirmation, and if we can start to speak incantations into our life, then you can start to do the stuff that you're preaching. You can start to do the stuff that you're affirming. But remember, it's the state, it's the body. For those of you who are listening, you have to change your state in order to believe it.
Mm-hmm. So in regards to, so let's say someone has a lot of negative self-talk, right? So, because I know a lot of people out there that like, the first thing out of their mouth is usually negative, right? How, for someone who's struggling with that, right? How would you kind of guide them into creating positive incantations from the negative, right?
Yeah.
I know obviously getting into state with your body is very important, right? But what are some other recommendations you can say to somebody to kind of start that up?
Such a good statement, and I'm glad you brought this up. So it just happened to be here, good analogy, right? Okay, so this is espresso in here. So this is espresso. Let me ask you guys a question.
That's a lot of espresso.
It's a lot. Keeps me high, bro. It's the healthy alternative. All right. So look at this is espresso. Let me ask you guys a question. Now there's water in here and ice and whatnot. But let me ask you a question. If these are all the bad thoughts in your head, do you think that it's going to take this amount of clear water to clear this bottle out?
Definitely.
Or how many more cups of clean, fresh water are we going to need to pour in here to get rid of this tiny little amount of shit, as we call it? A lot. I mean, Alex, would you say it's at least maybe 2-3 times the bottle?
I would say about 4 or 5.
4 or 5. And you're absolutely spot on. It's about 5 to 6 bottles that it's going to take to clear this up. So these are the negative thoughts in your head. These are all of the shit that we have in our head. What we have to learn to do, ladies and gentlemen, is wipe this And the only way that we can get rid of this is by flushing in 10 times the amount of clear water into this in order to get rid of all of this shit. So all of this, and part of my language here, but just bear with me. All of this stuff that you call it is all the negative thoughts. It's all that we wake up with the negative thoughts. What we have to do is we have to flush this out with podcasts, with books, with affirmations, with good talks, with good conversations, with having good communication with people, with good stuff, so we can pour 10 times the amount of good stuff into here so we can get rid of all this bad stuff. And here's the thing. There's always going to be a drip of espresso. There's always going to be a drip of shit. And our job is to put 10 times the amount of fresh water than we are getting shit in our life. And when we do that, we'll start creating positive thoughts. We'll start looking at this cup as half full, not half empty. We'll start looking at the opportunities that we have to throw this thing out and fill it up with whatever we want to fill it up with. But it comes with us flushing it out. So I have a theory. 90% podcast and books, 10% music. 90% positive affirmations, 10% drama, bullshit, what's going on in the world. And if we can do that, then this will start to get clear. This will start to get clear.
Bro, I mean, to be honest with you, I am so glad that we brought you on because you have dropped so many gems in this interview. I feel like anybody who's watching this is going to walk away with so much. Where can they find you if they were looking for you online right now?
On the gram, baby. At at Adrian Hernandez. You guys can also catch me on what's that new one? TikTok. I'm sorry, new TikTok. So you guys catch me on TikTok.
You're on Clubhouse now too, right?
I'm on Clubhouse now too. Clubhouse is taking my life away, so I'm not too much on Clubhouse. I got like 50 invites last week. I go, dude, I got to work, man. So, so I'm on Clubhouse. You guys can also YouTube, guys. I would love your subscription on YouTube. I just type in Adrian Hernandez Realtor. I'm finally above the baseball player on YouTube. Let's go.
Let's go. So that's awesome. So you guys can find all his knowledge, all his wealth. I know that you said you're dropping a course too. Do you want to talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah. So the Ascend platform, guys, it's pretty much how to go from agent to entrepreneur. First thing we talk about is mindset. Then I take you through each stage. So you guys can catch that. Go on my Instagram. If you guys have any questions, send me a DM. This is what I'll do for anybody on Alex's squad, anybody that knows Alex that comes from this podcast, mention his name. I'll give you guys 50% off. I'll give you the Black Friday special.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for that. And again, this is brought to you guys by Design for Agents, e-commerce geared to make sure that you have everything you need to be an amazing realtor, whether it be apparel, whether it be planning, whether it be creating your business plan. Everything is there. Adrian, thank you. You did not disappoint. You added so much value. Thank you again. And I look forward to seeing everybody in the next episode. Adios.
Thank you.